Rapid urbanization and rapid and unplanned urbanization are killing these water bodies. As a result of which, what is happening? The cities are facing a frequent urban flooding because these water bodies are not there to hold the extreme storm events. What is happening is they are becoming a receptacle of sewage, solid waste dumping is happening there, or they are completely built over by the builders. Now, what we see is that the cities have also become water guzzlers. They are extracting the groundwater randomly. The presence of water bodies, as I told you, they recharge the groundwater at the city level. So preservation and rejuvenation of the urban lakes is the need of the hour. This webinar will bring some experts from different parts of India who will talk about some success stories, how cities are helping in rejuvenating these urban lakes, and as a result of which these lakes have prevented the floods and even moved towards recharge of groundwater. So the first speaker today we have Dr. Manu Bhatnagar, the Principal Director from INTAC, who will speak about the initiative from Delhi side, what Delhi is doing, how Delhi is preserving and rejuvenating its water bodies. So over to you, Dr. Bhatnagar, if you can share your slides.
Okay. Greetings and good afternoon to everyone. Let me first share the screen. So I hope everybody can see
the
screen.
We can see the screen.
At INTAC have been working on water issues, and water bodies are a part of it. And Delhi has been our laboratory all the way back from 1996 onwards. So we have done a few lakes over here, conserving them or even reviving them. And I would just be sharing my experience and what we have been able to learn from that for the benefit of others. Yeah. So now here, this is a 1936 survey of India map of Delhi and its surrounding areas. What I'm showing this map for is to show you that the area of Delhi was very low in urbanization at that time. The urban footprint was extremely small. So, the natural water bodies were outside the ambit of the urban area mostly. But here is the master plan of Delhi 2021. And this shows you that the city has expanded since 1936 several times. And that has actually engulfed many of the water bodies into the urbanized zone. Okay. And our urban planners have not handled the water bodies or integrated them very well into the urban fabric. So basically, they have consumed most of the area around the water bodies. And in many cases, the water bodies themselves have been reclaimed. This map is showing you the major water bodies of Delhi. So you have Najafgarh Jheel at the southwestern end. You have historical water bodies like Hauz Shamsi, Hauz Khas. There is this small lake at Narayana. We have Sanjay Lake on the eastern side of Delhi. Balaswa Lake somewhere here, which is an oxbow lake, and so on. So Delhi has a few natural water bodies, but it has several, village ponds, some of which are large and many of them are fairly small. Now, in the last few years, particularly after 2000, when the civil society started pressing for the conservation of ponds and water bodies in the face of the fast expanding urban footprint, the government did respond. There were court actions, court orders also. But the actions took place more in the form of beautification, not addressing issues of ecology or of hydrology. So basically, the core of water bodies was not addressed. What was addressed was the surrounding, and that too, basically with a view to what they say is beautification. So here I'm giving you an example of a fairly large water body in Western Delhi. And this is what has happened. As you can see, all this is the natural pondage. But what it was reduced to was a tank. And now this area which has remained outside, this is the image of 2013, this would be filled up and reclaimed. Another example, if you see this one, and you can see that there is this natural stormwater channel, the water body, there is a forested zone. But as we advance further, you can see the natural channel has been channelized, the water body has been converted into a tank, and the forest area has been reduced to some kind of a plantation, or even actually reclaimed for uh, buildings and so on. Yet another example, again you can see that this is the natural form of the water body and a wooded area around it. But as we move on from 2004 to 2013, now here is some kind of construction of maybe a stadium or something coming up, or maybe this would become the pondage and all this would be filled and reclaimed. So basically, our planners and administrators have not gone about addressing water bodies in urban areas very well. Now, here I'm showing you some of the larger water bodies of Delhi. Now, this is Sanjay Lake, and this is a floodplain meander scout. This is the Yamuna. And this was known as Sanjay Lake. But as urbanization came in, you can see, let me just take you back again. You can see the open area, and now you see the whole place is so densely built up that this lake is actually sort of under siege and receiving wastewater, untreated sewage into the lake, which was initially and originally being fed uh, from the connection with the river, particularly during the monsoons. This is another example of a oxbow lake, the Balaswa Lake. As you can see in the 1936 map, this is referred to as the horseshoe shield. Okay, but with the passage of time, this is the area which has gone under the landfill site, and this is the Balaswa landfill now, and this is what is now remaining of the lake. But even this has been disconnected from the river by a major embankment which has come in between. Okay, so now in this photograph, you see this is the landfill. This area has been, built upon, and only one arm of the horseshoe remains. Devendra? Now, this is yet another example. Now, I picked up this image from the 1936 map, and you can see this lake in S-shaped form. This had no name. It's only at the village Tea Creek Road. And in 2014, I checked up on the ground, and this part of the lake is still and now getting protected, of course. But you can see that the S has vanished. You see, all this has sort of vanished. This is what is remaining. Okay. Yet another, now we come to Housecast Lake. Again, you see the 1936 map shows you the entire area around it is unbuilt. And as we move on to 2012, the entire area, the basin has been urbanized, and that has disrupted the natural flows into the water body. And here is another tank opposite the Narela railway station. Okay, and there's a square tank. Again, it was connected with the Delhi tail distributary of the Western Yamuna Canal, but now disconnected, and so dry tank is there of about 6 hectares. And then in the rural area, you have this, for example, Shamspur Khalsa Jheel, which has again sort of now vanished. Another historical water body, the Tughlakabad Fort and the Adilabad forts. And this is the causeway which connected them, and it had acted like a small barrage. And so from the surface runoff of the southern ridge, a huge lake area used to form over there. But then, as you can see in the lower image, that this road punctures right through the barrage, and now, of course, there's no such formation taking place. Various censuses were carried out. Uh, we carried out a census in 2002, and we came to a figure of 508 water bodies. Somebody else did so. They said there are 693. Then the number moved up and further up. And the cities and Parks and Garden Society of Delhi, which is an official body, they say that there are 1,000 water bodies, but then they admit that many of them are encroached or no longer alive. And our ground survey shows that we have remaining 400 practicable water bodies in Delhi. Now, this is an image from the National Wetland Inventory Atlas, which was made in 2010-11. And in 2017, the Supreme Court on the 8th of February, they passed orders that any water body which has been shown in that atlas is to be protected and proper conservation plans drawn up. Now, all states have been laggard on that, and hardly anything has been done. But yes, as activists off and on, we are able to press for preservation of water bodies which are under threat. And that is that we are not always successful. Okay. Now, this data was picked up from the Delhi State Census. It shows the area of wetlands in the various districts of Delhi, northwest, and these are mostly the ones which are in the rural area. They are the ones which have more area, and of course, the urbanized areas, they are on the lower side. Quickly going over ecosystem services provided by wetlands. So the habitat functions for biodiversity, aquifer recharge, water purification, and then local climate moderation. If you go around these water bodies, you'll find that temperatures are cooler. You can get food and other, plants and things from the water bodies. They also work as carbon sinks. They augment the soil moisture, so that leads to better vegetation growth. And then, of course, recreation is possible on these water bodies. But there are many threats to lakes. And because of urbanization, the natural flows from the basins of these water bodies, they are interrupted, so adequate water does not reach them. There is immense, requirement for land. Real estate lobbies are very active. If you convert a water body into real estate by dumping into it, it becomes worth crores. As a water body, people don't see any value in it. Water bodies along the river have been disconnected from the river because we have the right and left main embankments, basically to protect the city from flooding. But at the same time, we have managed to cut off the connections to the water bodies, which were fed by the monsoon overflow. And then, of course, siltation, disposal of waste, wastewater inflow, which has led to pollution and subsequently eutrophication due to the enriched, nutrients in the water bodies, and so on. Now, there are many rules and laws which have been made. Delhi does not have any Ramsar site so far. We have the Wetland Authority, which was formed under the rules of 2017. So we have Delhi Wetlands Authority. There was this National Lake Conservation Program, which was for urban lakes, now defunct. city master plans also have been made, and where lakes have been shown, they have been shown without their basin areas. Okay, so it is a kind of a half-hearted protection. Now I come to individual cases. So this is the Najafgarh Jheel, which is at the southwestern corner of Delhi. And the Jheel is a transboundary wetland, which is half in Delhi and half in Haryana. A very large area. Now the remnant area is still around 7-8 square kilometers, but there are a lot of difficulties with hydrology because embankments have been made which prevent the water from coming in. The monsoon waters do get collected over there, and the dry land has been converted into farm fields. Because of that, vested interests have come in, and so on. So we have filed a PIL to protect this Jheel and get it legal protection by notification. The matter is in the National Green Tribunal. Hopefully, we would get some good results soon. This was the Jheel which we saw in the 1995 floods, and even in subsequent floods, you have this huge water spread. I have other photographs which we can share on another occasion. Now, as I said, most of the water bodies in Delhi are village ponds. And now what happens is that this is the example of Kakrola village. And this is a typical example, not just for the NCT of Delhi, but for most of North India. You find that the old village Abadi, its central point, it is sitting on a kind of a small hillock. The level is around 106 over here. That is, it's 6 meters higher than the peripheral zone. Okay. So the hillock, which is full of small buildings, residences, and so on, that acts as a small, catchment from which the rainwater runs off, and the water bodies are on the periphery. Now, these water bodies are marked for, different uses, or used to be. Now, of course, people get water from their own tube wells and so on. And also because a lot of the toilet waste and kitchen waste waters are feeding these. Therefore, the water is not so usable. So the thing is that it was a very nice rainwater harvesting arrangement. And I'll show that to you in yet another village. Now, this is I'm forgetting the name of this village, Dhulsiras near the Palam airport. Again, you find the central area about 6 meters higher than the area on the periphery, and 1 and 2 water bodies again on the periphery. And you can check this for yourself in any, Google map. Now, because you see earlier on it was purely rainwater, but now all kinds of wastewater gets in. So the pond waters become enriched with nutrients, and that leads to algal blooms. Poor oxidation of water because of the algal cover, and so foul smells, unaesthetic, ugly sights, and so on. And that creates a kind of a repulsion for these water bodies, because now they are not seen as water sources, because your water source is, some piped water supply or some tube well. Now, to address the conservation of any water body, you need to look at the water balance, the water quality, the shoreline, the catchment area, and the groundwater table. Okay, these are the critical factors which must be addressed. And for water balance, this is the equation. Let's say your water body has a certain amount of water in it. Now, to that, you have to add the surface inflow because of rainwater, the subsurface inflow because of higher groundwater, if it is so, and the direct rainfall on the water body itself. So these are the augmentations, but then you have to minus the losses. You have evaporation losses, you have percolation losses, there may be overflow or any other outflow, and that will give you what is the water volume in the lake or water body, whatever you may call it. So you have to ensure that, with how you ensure there's a water balance at all times in the lake. Now, Basically, urbanization is the colonization of the natural watershed, and this was the watershed of Delhi. The ridge constitutes the watershed of Delhi. So whatever rain falls on the central ridge and the northern ridge and the southern ridge, that flows directly towards the Yamuna through several stormwater channels and also fills in various water bodies. Whereas anything on the west of the ridge crest that flows into the Najafgarh drain, which of course ultimately comes to the Yamuna again somewhere here. Now, a specific case that is horse cars. Now, this the 1936 map, and you can see horse cars, the areas surrounding it, completely, unurbanized. And it is a surmise that this is how the horse used to get filled because it has flat area around it, so it does not necessarily have a catchment. There are several used to feed this area. This road is very much in use nowadays, and this, if you go there, you'll see it is around 10-12 feet high, higher than than this area. So the water would collect over here, and there would have been a mechanism to fill the horse cars. And the horse cars is about 15 acres in area, and here you can see that there were several wells on the bed, which with the passage of time they disappeared. And now, as you can see, and this image is also only of 2012, the entire area got completely urbanized. Nobody valued the lake. The waters which were coming to the lake were actually diverted in this Humayunpur drain and towards the Yamuna. Okay. And when we came to the house in 2003, it was, as you can see, completely dry. Now, various investigations were carried out, and we found that the bed was very porous. It would not hold much, any rainwater for too long, and how to get that rainwater over there. So we looked at the basin area, which had greatly reduced because of diversions, and what we did was that in this area there were, there's this Sanjay 1 area where we found that the drainage line goes across and comes up to this point and then bypasses the lake and goes away towards the Yamuna. So over here, this was our proposal that we would use the waters of the Vasant Kunj sewage treatment plant, which were cleaned up to the secondary level, treated to the secondary level, discharged into the natural drainage. And in the Sanjay 1 area, we along with DDA, who were sponsoring the project, built around 5 check dams. And in the central check dam, we introduced the duckweed plant for further treatment of the waters. And so here you can see in the central check dam the duckweed carpet, and this helped us to clean the water still further. This is the position, and then because of such pondages, even the Sanjay 1 wells, they became full. Normally, that area has water at around 70-80 feet below the ground, but in the well next to our pondage, about at 11 feet or so. And then the treated water was brought towards the house through existing channels. And here it is coming to the halls. So whenever it would rain in the catchment, the waters would become turbid, but otherwise clearer waters like this. And so here are the waters entering the halls, and we were happy to reach this position in 2004. And that, of course, led to the return of biodiversity. And about from 2005 to date, I think about 3,000 million liters of water have been charged over here in the ground. And we also introduced a lot of fish in order to, have a proper ecosystem. The water parameters were checked at all times. Now here I'm showing to you the groundwater parameters. Now this was pre-project, and this was around 10 years later. So, these are very close to drinking water standards. The soil filtration itself has a good effect on improving the water quality. And if you were to chlorinate this water, you would get, IS 10,500 class of water. Monitoring was done through seven, seven existing wells as to the rise of the water table. These were existing old wells over there. To keep the waters clean, this aeration was also introduced, and the Google imagery also changed, reflecting the position. There's an island in the middle, about 1 acre size. And as I said, return of biodiversity, these are spot-billed ducks. And then, of course, you have pochards, coats, and several, species coming in. These are northern shovelers, cormorants looking out for fish, catfish floated in from the catchment, about 4 feet long. Now, in 2007, we quit the scene and DDA took over. The duckweed ponds were not managed, and so the water quality deteriorated, the nutrient levels moved up, nitrates, phosphates. And so this algal turbidity covered the lake. And then we were, of course, asked to address the situation. So what we did was that we introduced this bacterial bioremediation in the lake. And this bacterial bioremediation, you can see how it's being done. It's in the bacteria is in a liquid medium. It's being sprayed into the water body. This contraption is being used to mix up the bacteria with the waters. And the bacteria eats up the nutrients faster than the algae can consume them. So ultimately the algae die, and the algae also becomes food for the bacteria. The waters become clearer, the sunlight penetrates deeper, the photosynthesis happens at the benthic level, that is the base of the pond, and that releases oxygen, which enables many microbes to survive and play their role in breaking down nutrients in the water body. So this was the situation after a month, as you can see, from high algal turbidity to a much clearer situation, which is reflected in these water bottles. So from this position, we were able to come to this position. Now I take to Sanjay Lake, which is in East Delhi. Again, as I shown you earlier, the unurbanized area became highly urbanized. But again, because of the lack of sewer systems, a lot of the wastewater was discharged into the lake. Water was not reaching it because of the bandh being introduced between the lake and the river. And so you can see this immense growth of water hyacinth. Okay, so we were asked to prepare a conservation plan, which we did. All kinds of database was built up. What is the water quality, and so on. And so the solution which we arrived at, which is now truer for most urban lakes, that they have to be, sustained upon highly treated wastewaters, which in fact is a very good way of recycling wastewater. And recycling is inevitable, unavoidable. So we looked at various, treatment systems. So the Kundli wastewater treatment STP was providing secondary level treated effluent, but at that time there was no pipeline. And these were the alternative. We could have a dewat system, which was a NBS, nature-based solution, or we could have mechanical systems. So ultimately we chose to advise the dewat system. And of course, all these things had to be done. The in situ measures, that is removal of garbage, water hyacinth, soft silt through suction, because the sediments at the base were also full of nutrients, and so on. and then subsequent introduction of fish, because fish play an essential role in consuming nutrients. And then subsequently there would be aeration in the deep end of the lake. Now this is the the baffle reactor of the deep water system being built. Okay, and this was a long constructed wetland, a linear wetland, 3 meters wide, but about 400 meters long, through which the waters created in the baffle reactor would then travel and finally be released at the deep end of the lake. Now, all these things were being done, but ultimately overtaken by circumstances that the Kundli STP now provides you tertiary treated water, and so these systems became redundant. Let's look at Balaswa Lake, that is the half horseshoe lake which is left. Now, next to Balaswa Lake, we have this. Balaswa Dairy. Now, the dairy has about 500, livestock, and the wastewaters and the gobar slurry, it all comes to the lake. Here you can see it happening. And so that leads to the eutrophication of the lake. You can see the waters as being completely green. Here you can see water hyacinth cover on the lake. Imagine a lake the size of Nainital Lake, completely full of hyacinth. So one of the things which we did was to introduce fresh water. I'll just take you back to the map here. Now, this is the supplementary drain, which is, joined to the river at Wazirabad. Mostly in September, when the river is in spate, the river water backs up all the way across here. And so it is over here. And what we are doing in this is that we are admitting that river water in the monsoons into the lake in order to clean it. So with that, the water hyacinth not finding any nutrition, they had, began to collapse and they were removed from the lake. Now, but still there was a lot of sediment, rich sediment on the bed of the lake. And so we carried out this bathymetric survey to establish the lake bed as it existed. Soil investigation was carried out through boring to see what is the depth of the sediments over the natural bed. And see, these are the cross sections of the lake. This is the L section of the lake. Here you can see that the bed soil was very rich in nutrients. The groundwater had also become contaminated. The TDS levels, which in drinking water should not be more than 500, had reached this level. Okay. And the soil strata, the upper soil strata was all fine
Sorry,
sand.
sir, if you can just finish in 5 minutes, then we can open for question answers also.
Okay. Okay. So basically, then, we planned to remove that silt. And so these are details in which area we would excavate how much to remove all that rich soil. And then we had this hydrological model, which would show us as to how much fresh water we would need in every month to keep the lake full. And so we worked out that in summers, we would require something like 7 MLD. And so that 7 MLD would be taken from the supplementary drain itself. There would be a plant on top of the drain. That was one way to look at it. And the water would then pass through a battery of vertical aerators and then come into the lake. And we would, of course, introduce fish, maybe carry out initial bacterial bioremediation. So that was one way. Another way was that we could have over here, soil biotechnology plant, and instead of having a mechanical plant over here, we would have a 7 MLD baffle reactor with bioremediation treatment. So these were alternatives. This has still to be carried out. And then, of course, I have the Sea, which is a historical water body. And it is proposed that we will take, there's a STP over here. And from here, treated waters will be taken into these water bodies, and from there pumped into the Sea. Thereafter, feed the old time Jharna and then number of other water bodies in the Meroli Archaeological Park. So these are some of the things which were done. We also experimented with floating wetlands here, you can see, and not only in water bodies, but in wastewater, stormwater drains carrying wastewater like this. And these floating rafts are made with, PVC pipes, but you could even have them with bamboo. Bioremediation in stormwater drains itself help to clean the waters. Here you can see the result. This was in Chanakyapuri, the untreated water, and after some distance, this is the effect of the bacteria. This is on Palam drain, the pre and the post. Reviving the quarried out areas of the Bhati mines. This was done in 1996 by training the rainwater and flowing into the large quarries. This is pit number 12 in 1996. Now it is being touted as Neeli Jheel, and this is how it is. And because the waters of the soils are all sandy, the waters are not carrying any sediment, and therefore there's a great deal of clarity in these waters like this. Okay, so I think I have said what I had to. I'm open to questions.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Dr. Bhatnagar. So that was an excellent presentation where we come to know about the traditional water bodies, the water bodies in rural Delhi. And you have very correctly pointed out that we had some half-hearted lake programs, but we are getting some relief from some NGT orders. And the Hoskas Lake, the case study which you have shown, very clearly shows us that only water body protection is not important, but catchment and feeder channels are also to be protected. And it's time that the planners see beyond the land and they actually think about the water bodies. The time has come that planners should not look water bodies as piece of land. And with this, we open it for the question answers. So we have few questions on the question answer box. So I'm just opening it. So we have Aparna saying, Aparna, actually this is a question for you, which shows that the slide showing number of water bodies in Delhi in different years, you have shown that map. So she wants to know what is the source of these figures. Dr. Bhatnagar.
See, the bar chart is showing you figures which are available from the Statistical Handbook of Delhi, or you can look up the Delhi Master Plan, or you can look up the National Capital Region Planning Board's Regional Plan 2021. Okay, so you can do that, and the other figures, they have come from actual censuses carried out by various NGOs. That's how it is.
So we have another question from Mr. Dushwant Kumar, who is telling how can we maintain or rejuvenate a water body in rural area? Is there any cost-effective technique available for the pond water? He's actually interested in the rural part, actually.
See, whether rural or whether urban, see the basin. I gave you four criteria, 4 or 5 criteria. You have to look at the basin or the catchment. You have to address the water balance. You have to address the water quality. You have to address the riparian zone. Okay. So if you can do all these things, whether it is urban or rural, it works the same. Okay. So you can also look at how you can enhance the basin effect. For example, there would be several rooftops. Now, in the constricted areas of villages, you may not have any water harvesting points. So is it possible whether you can draw that surface runoff from roofs, etc., or from any other hard surfaces into the rural water body, which would probably be a pond, maybe a large one, and thereafter be able to recharge the groundwater?
So there is one question from Mr. Upendra Rawal. So he is asking, how does this eutrophication how does aeration help in that?
See, aeration helps by adding oxygen into the water. You see, when the pond has got, or the water has got a lot of nutrients in it, then the algal growth begins to take place and the water body begins to lose oxygen. So you'll find that in such water bodies, which we call eutrophic water bodies, they would have almost no dissolved oxygen, right? And the aeration enables the oxygen to be dissolved in the water. Say aeration can be of two types. Either you can push in micro bubbles or nano bubbles into the water, and as they rise up in the water column, they will impart their oxygen. The oxygen will get entrained into the water molecules. Or if you throw the water up into the air, if it is up in the air for say about 3 to 4 seconds, as it comes down, it will again absorb oxygen. So basically what aeration is doing is it's adding oxygen to the waters, right? That oxidates many of the pollutants which are in the water body. And thereafter, it helps to keep the water body clean and, without odor.
Okay, sir. So we'll take two more questions. So one is Mr. Raval again. Why did you prefer duckweed to water hyacinth when the latter has a higher photosynthetic efficiency?
Well, see, there are two things. One is that when we did that, we ourselves were on a learning curve. Okay. If I were to do it today, I would probably not use duckweed. Although I'm not sure whether I would use water hyacinth, because if the water hyacinth floats down into the main water body, you can understand what might happen. But yes, you are right that water hyacinth is a bigger plant. It's a macrophyte and it would be more efficient than duckweed. Managing duckweed is also very difficult. It's a very tiny plant. And, a strong breeze can displace most of the duckweed to one side. Okay. So, which would not, of course, happen with water hyacinth. But then there are alternatives. I might go in through for a constructed wetland treatment where I have rooted plants rather than floating plants.
Another one we'll take the last question, Dr. Sandesh Yadav. How the socio-economic activity taking place in close vicinity of the lakes result in the degradation of the environment of the lake?
No, please repeat the question.
He is asking how the socio-economic activity taking place around the lakes actually affect in the degradation process. Does it affect the degradation of the process, socio-economic activities?
See, what is the socio-economic activity? Anything which has building which discharges effluents into the water body, or even a boundary wall which prevents the inflow of surface runoff into the lake, that can be a hindrance. So I'm not sure, what exactly would be meant by socio-economic activity. If a particular example is given, then we can, assess whether it is detrimental to the lake. Okay, let's say, for example, that, some kind of clearance of the natural vegetation along the banks is carried out. Now, that would, of course, reduce the riparian habitat. It would enable the, loose soil to be, eroded and flow into the lake. So, it all depends on which particular. If you tell a specific activity, one can assess that.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatnagar. That was a fabulous session where we understood the very important and the right points. So we have a series of questions which we can share with the expert, and then we can write back to the audience, because we have some very interesting lectures actually lined up after this. And Dr. Bhatnagar has a very important appointment with the Delhi government, so he will leave shortly. So thank you, Dr. Bhatnagar, again for your excellent lecture. We move to Dr. Mohit Roy, the founder director of Vasundhara, a non-profit based in Kolkata. He has worked a lot on the pukus, which are traditional water bodies in Kolkata. So, Dr. Mohit Roy, can you just switch on your camera and we can start your lecture? We will be sharing the slides. I will request my colleague Swati to share your slides. Swati, can you please share the slides?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can. We can, sir.
Well, after Delhi, we come to Kolkata, but physiography of this city is totally different from Kolkata. And here we have plenty of water bodies, but Kolkata has basically 2 or 3 types of water bodies. One is 2 lakes, which are not very big, but we call it lakes. Then we have at the eastern border, there is East Kolkata wetland, which is a Ramsar site. But besides that, there are several thousand ponds in such a densely populated city. So I'll mostly talk on those, and I have very limited slides because I was told that there will be a 5 minutes presentation. But anyway, can you go to the next slide? Next one. So at the center of this Kolkata, there is a pond which is called Lal Dighi, which British used to call Great Tank. This water body is older than the city. After British came, they started building around this pond. And this city has several hundreds of ponds throughout the city, and this has a peculiar advantage, and also there is a big issue of managing these water bodies. So I'll just go to the next slide. So if you see, this is a Kolkata's map, only a small portion, and you can see so many blue areas. These are all local water bodies we call it ponds. In Bengali, we can pukus, and these are strewn throughout the city. I mean, it's not that only located on one part. Of course, at the central part, which is more urbanized, there are less number of water bodies, but throughout the city, because this part of the country, the eastern part of the country, you can start from the eastern part of Bihar and go to Assam, part of Odisha. Here, the groundwater is very close to the top. You can just dig a few feet, you will get water. And one of the major source of soil or earth to make houses and others were digging this earth, and that means water bodies. So any locality, village, or also in the urban areas, these ponds are not natural. They are basically made for different kind of requirement of art. So they made these water bodies. Of course, this village, I will come next, that the village water bodies and urban water bodies are, in this case, are totally different in characteristics, its uses, its different kind of requirements. So Kolkata has this large number of water bodies. Next. Now, what you call that, when I give talk to others also, that you can swim through the city of Kolkata. Because, as I said, the pond in Bengali, it is called Pukur. So you have nearly hundreds of places named with Pukur. I'll just say someone well-known names of the different parts of the city. Monohar Pukur, Ahir Pukur, Bose Pukur, Thakur Pukur, Padma Pukur, Tal Pukur. I can go on and on. So you can understand that this city has a different kind of link with these water bodies. It is not just only some kind of water resource or just a physical environment. It is something more, and the locality is named after that. And I'll go later that it has some kind of a heritage link, cultural link with this city. So when we talk about that rejuvenation, these water bodies or management of those water bodies, beside the physical parameters, that means say water quality, TDS, BOD, COD, etc., there are other issues in an urban situation. Can you go to the next slide, please? Next one, please. So, how many water bodies are there? You see, as we had plenty, there was not much concern about these water bodies, and there was a random filling up of these water bodies. Calcutta Metropolitan Corporation, KMC, Kolkata Metropolitan Corporation, they have a recent data of around 3,874 ponds. But this number has come up after nearly 2.5 decades of different kind of community movement. The KMC has come with this list. Previously, there is an older list of 1,736. As I personally have worked on these water bodies for the last two decades or more, we went to the Google satellite imagery and we could count there is 4,889. Again, I'm saying there must be 10% here and there because all the images are not clear. But if you take the NATMO map, the map which I just showed before, which is in nearly 100-page books of different areas of the city, there are about 8,800 ponds were in Kolkata just 3 or 4 decades back. So it has come down to around 5,000. Still, I consider in a city like Kolkata, highly urbanized and high population density, this is quite a significant number, and it's a challenge to manage those water bodies properly. Next, please. These are the kind of, what I said just before, that number of ponds has changed. In the year-wise, 1997 KMC list was 1,786. Then in 2006, they have given it to 3,873. From NATMO map, we could count to 8,731. And from Google satellite images, we could count it's at 4,889. Next. Now, let us see what is the link with the water body and urban environment. If you see this, some kind of pie diagram, we have defined, compartment like did it like one part is environment, safety, culture, society, economy, and water resources. First, I come to this water resources because these water resources for this city, now we know that for the most of the city, water will be supplied from some source, some treated water. But in this urban area, there will be a lot of people who don't have a water connection in their houses. They will use this water body for different purposes. In fact, every day, several thousand, I mean, not several thousand, it would be say, nearly 1 lakh extra people comes from outside who does not have other source of water to use, to wash themselves, to take some water for different kind of purposes. So this is an important water resources for the urban people and mostly for the common people who don't have always the water supply from the city corporation and other things. Another thing is environment, because even in this high densely populated areas, you have these water bodies, and every water body has some trees around it, and a lot of there are some gardens and others. So Calcutta's ecology, this urban ecology, is quite linked with these water bodies, and the people can find the different kind of species, whether it is plant species or birds or other kind of aquatic species, all around these water bodies. Safety is one of the important thing because of fire extinguishing. These water bodies act as a very important water resource. Then this culture, we have that in besides these ponds, lot of temples are there. In fact, uh, when I speak in some areas, I say I can tell the history of this city of Kolkata, through the history of these water bodies. There's the oldest water body is about 800 years old. Then these water bodies have different these temples with very important personalities are linked. Even the central Calcutta, there are water bodies which are linked with different intelligentsia who have worked here, or there are swimming pools which have been made. Then there are some water bodies which are linked with as our nationalist movement, all these things. So as I said, the areas are known by ponds name. Then there are nearly, I have undertook a study and I did 50 heritage ponds which have such old links with some history. And in society, in different parts of these water bodies, you will find benches or some local clubs, community organizations. They spend some part of their, you can say, some kind of brainstorming goes on there. And also these people, they go on taking steps to save the ponds. Next. Just as it says, water resource and say bathing, washing, receptor for rainwater harvesting, and maintaining local groundwater level. Of course, local groundwater level depends on the local soil characteristic. It's not always here. In most of the places, it does not recharge groundwater. In some of the areas, as does. But most important thing here is the bathing and washing. Even we have done the study that in this city, nearly every day, 1 million people take bath in these water bodies. If you see from the other side of the issue, that the municipality has not to supply water for this nearly 1 million people. So we know that bathing causes different kind of pollution, water quality, gets bad and bad. But this is also people's requirement, and you will have to add one more dimension into it. These are the very common people. So these water bodies are the resource for common people. So we have to design or maintain it such a way that these common people can take bath and also keep the water quality at some level. We have done number of works on that with the local community level. I'll come a little later. Next one. As I said, one of the major thing of this is the economic resource. In about these 5,000 water bodies, 3,000 water bodies, there are pisciculture, fish cultivation. And in this city, a total big city, there are several thousand fishermen there who are, totally urban people, right? You can see some fishermen there, and nearly on about more than the fish value which is taken from these water bodies is more than 50 crores. So this is a quite important economic resource for the city people. And as I said that for the society, there are clubs, community gatherings are there. There are somewhere, some stages are there where, song or some kind of drama festival, these all take place. So it's a part of the society. Next. As I say, it is also low cost swimming pool. This is a swimming pool for local. We have all learned our swimming in these water bodies. Next. Next is what I mentioned about the environment. Also, what has been said that it also controls the microclimate of the area. Where there is a water body, the area surrounding this water body is much influenced by this water body. It is little, older, and you have, as it is an open space, there is more, you can have wind flowing, and also there are a lot of gardens around these water bodies. One of the most important thing which we could have done in our movement, that's we have stopped the paving the borders of this water body with concrete or cement, because the portion of the water body, that the border which meets water, the soil and water, that is the most biologically active area where the soil and water meets. You have a lot of different kind of species there, and when you cement it, that diversity goes on. So we had a movement. In fact, one of us friends, she went to Kolkata High Court. Now this has been totally prohibited, that it cannot be totally cemented, except if sometimes some is required, there is a road which can breaking down or something like that. So but we need a lot of more study about this urban environment. We have done something. Next. As I said, this biodiversity, this local natural life, and all these things remain. In fact, Kolkata's bird and others, there are aquatic life, and in that I include everything from small fish to frogs or snakes, everything. These are still quite alive only because of these water bodies. And next, as I said, that we have these temples and a lot of heritage ponds. Number of ponds are linked with very important personalities, and lot of ponds, there are fairs takes place around these things. So these are also a heritage of this city. Now we come to next one, that how these so many ponds with so many kind of diverse, it's importance, how it has been seen in the management. I have to say that there was hardly any understanding of water bodies management in this city. In fact, there have been number of plans for this city have been made, like all other cities. There has been Calcutta Environmental Management Strategy and Action Plan. This is funded by UK government. It did not have a single line on the water bodies of this city. Then Calcutta Metropolitan Development Area, they have a plan for the city at the 2015. It has a detailed plan about urban roads. Water means only taking water, taking from Ganga and then distributing as a drinking water after treatment. These 5,000 water bodies have not been considered in any planning. Now, of course, Kolkata Municipal Corporation has taken some interest, no doubt, but that has been mostly done beautifying these water bodies. That means it is putting good railings, coloring it, putting a lot of lights. In fact, that is affecting the birds and other things in the night. But it is more on that type. And our universities or technical institutions have also not done much on these things. So, and I can also compare that Kolkata Municipal Corporation has a department called Parks and Gardens. There is hardly 100 parks and gardens in the city. For that, they have a department, but for 5,000 water bodies, there is nothing. Next. But Kolkata has, as I said, that these water bodies are linked with the society. These people, this community movement, as I say that, well, we had 8,000 water bodies, 8,000 ponds, but still we have 5,000 ponds. That's not a very bad achievement. It's quite an achievement. And for these improvements, there has been a strong community movement in the city for last nearly 2.5 decades. These local organizations have done it excellently for different kind of water bodies. And I say this has been a very local effort, no external funding, no any important NGOs and others intervention. But what it happens that when it is done at a local level, local knowledge is very important, no doubt. But also it needs something more from the technical universities, also from the funding. These efforts lack on that part. And we have been involved in number of these renovation of these water bodies. As you see in the case of Delhi, they could have think of that you can take water. So we don't have the problem of lack of water. What is in Delhi because it's a terrain and rainfall is different. We have, and also we in these water bodies we do not take water from the catchment area. It used to be before, but as the catchment area now in an urban area will bring all the dirty waters. Most of these water bodies have embankments so that it does not enter. But different kind of intervention, and also I put the importance. It's not that you clear the water bodies from the people because they make a lot of contribution for the waste. That would not solve the issue because it is a common people's water resource. So we have worked to some extent, that is how to keep a water body better with people using the water. And there have been a number of local initiatives have been done that you take bath but don't use these things. Even in the fish cultivation, some of the more approaches of not including much chemicals for these fish baits and others, these have been done. So, but what we need is that much more technical support, which is still lacking. And next one. Now I'll nearly finish with these things because, as I said, that our efforts to renovate or make these water bodies better has been a much more local initiatives. There has not been much more initiatives or support from an organized sector, be it a university or government. And another issue I've not just shown here, that is water bodies in Kolkata, I think in other part of country also has, that we have a huge number of this in Durga Puja and other this kind of festivals where the idols are immersed in these water bodies. So this is a problem that has also been partially solved by the local initiatives using so quickly taking up these idols after just they are immersed, and what are the wastes come with these immersion things, flowers and other things. So initiatives are done. This is my book on the old mirrors, traditional ponds of Kolkata. This I identified 51 water bodies which have a link with history. This has been published by Kolkata Municipal Corporation. And next. And this is in Bengali, and this is, we have also get next one. No, this is a book, the 5,000 Mirrors, the Water Bodies of Kolkata. This has been published by Jadavpur University Press. This is can be obtained online. Here I have, you can, if you are interested, what I have studied, I have did my part of my PhD was on also this, that specifically the water bodies which are being maintained by the community and which are not maintained, the difference in their water quality and different the kind of ecological impact, these have been all done. These are all technical part of it with all this data. And also there is a detailed social study of this thing, that who uses this water body, and also the gender aspect of using this water body. These are all in these books. So I'll now wait for your questions. And next slide, finish with the next slide, that this is a traditional rowing boat in this restored pond. This was a very dirty one, but we could restore it again with the community movement. And that's why it's going. Only hope is that there has been a recent study by KMC and Jadavpur University, and their preliminary report has said that it's not 5,000. They say there are still 7,000 water bodies. Exact number will come out. So I hope along with that, there will be some specific budget for management of these water bodies by the government, whether state or central, and also the municipal corporation. And the community movement will be also taken into this kind of initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roy. That was an excellent presentation, and we can see live that many people were posting that they have liked the presentation, and it's an excellent way of talking about the history of the city through the different ponds which you got proposed. And you have very rightly pointed out the need for the capacity building of the stakeholders for a constructive management plan for the lakes, and more research needs to be done in partnership with the government as well as the institutes and the educational institutions. So a very good and very interesting presentation, and I just wanted to open it for the participants. So we can actually have the question answer box. Please post your questions on the question answer box. So we have Dr. Amritlal Haldar actually asking, as per NATMO and Google Image, the number of water bodies are in 2:1 ratio. What is the cause of this? And any cause, if you can. As per NATMO and Google Image, the number of water bodies are in the ratio of 2:1, he says. Any particular cause for this? Dr. Roy, can you hear us? He says, as per NATMO and Google Image, number of water bodies are 2:1. Is there any particular reason for this?
So NATMO and the Google.
Yes.
So because NATMO's map are, as I said, that these maps were prepared with the data nearly 4 decades old. And when we are considering it now, between 1970s and 90s, there has been a quite urbanization of the city and all the real estate development. So these 2 decades have taken up a large number of water bodies. And at that time, there is no, concern about that. Corporation was not counting on these things. And also, I would say that in 1985, the special act has come in West Bengal, Waterbodies Act. I'm sorry, it's 1994. That has made very specifically that any filling up of water body is an act. I mean, is a can be people can be arrested. There will be FIRs, and this has partly started to help to reduce this filling up of this water body. Though it is still on going on the margin of the cities, not on the main cities anymore. So there these gaps come.
So another question from him only. So he says that these ponds are used for swimming and bathing. So is it causing any pollution for these water bodies?
Now, you see, this pollution also, if you take the standard water quality of bathing, what you go get into the our IS, or you can in the Western thing, this all these water bodies are polluted. But whatever I find that we need to prepare our own standards, because some of the parameters may be high, but these are not always that kind of very much alarming, and it will not be considered as a swimming pool quality of water, but still, and there is also need for a study that say bacterial quality, all these things what we get in the textbook are how much realistic for situation like us, because people are bathing. Of course there are some issues are there. We did very small study on these things, but there needs, as I said, that we need more technical help. But whatever the community level steps are taken, we found, as I said in my book, I have also done it, comparing the water quality of a community managed water body and the non managed water body. It can be improved to a significant effect, and we found that people are much more happy. And the more problem is, there is another problem, people come to bathe in it, so they will leave the other water body. So but I again say that this needs a much more technical study by institutes and other. That's not being taken place, where there is 1 million people every day is using it.
So one question from Vandana Gupta. So she says that any techniques that have been utilized by the community for rejuvenation of pond?
Yes, there are a number of, I mean, very techniques. They wash their clothes in these water bodies. Now, number of water bodies, what they have done, the community, they have put a separate enclosure at the bank of this water body. So now people take the water from the water body, wash the clothes there, and that water goes to outside drain. So you have to arrange for it. And again, one thing is important, it is not only that you just make it and some people are following your instruction. There has to be a community level of approach, talking to them, and then they reduce any kind of use of excess. This different kind of soaps and others, only individuals can do it. And previously, so the washerman would come, they will take a lot of clothing into the water bodies. They have said that only you can take water for your personal use. And second, another way, that all these water bodies, as is an open space, it used to be dumping ground for different kind of waste that have been stopped in many of these water bodies, which has also cleaned it quite significantly. Of course, as so many people are bathing, there will be some pollution, but if these things are followed, no washing and other things, quality improves quite significantly.
So we actually conclude this saying that monitoring and maintenance is very important part of the lake management system. And we have several questions which we can post to the experts and they can reply and we can post it later on. So with this, we start the last session, which is from Mr. Rajiv, and he is Chief Engineer from Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board. And as we all know, Bangalore is doing an excellent job for rejuvenation of the water bodies. So over to you, Mr. Rajiv.
Yeah. Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon to the participants. I am Rajiv, representing BWSSC or Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board from Bangalore. Is I am audible, madam?
You are
So you are-
audible, but yeah,
Yes.
but we cannot see the screen actually.
Oh, screen. I am sharing the screen, madam.
Okay.
Is it visible?
Still not visible.
Is paused.
So if you want us to share your screen, we can do that also. So we request the participants to put the questions in the question answer box. Meanwhile, we are actually moving towards Mr. Rajiv, and we have some very excellent pointers that have come up, and which starting from Dr. Bhatnagar, where we are talking about half-hearted lake programs and how NGT was involved, and we got some very good relief and some excellent case studies shared by him. Then we had Dr. Mohit Roy, who very clearly points out that more research
Madam,
and
now
capacity.
screen is visible?
No, sir, still not visible. It just says. So if you want, sir, we can share.
Yeah, please share the screen from your end.
I request my colleague Swati to share the screen. Swati.
Yeah. Sir, if you can stop sharing the screen. Yeah.
Please stop sharing.
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yeah. Yeah. Next slide, please. So Bangalore is a metropolitan city having almost its entire area as 800 square kilometers. In a radial way, it has got developed from first is core area and later one CMC and other surrounding areas added very recently by 2007. And we are providing the main infrastructure in that area. The entire city is now having the sewer networks. Next. Next slide, please. So Bangalore here, BWSSB is the organization. It has established during 1964 to provide water supply and sewerage facilities to main entire city, wherein for the lakes, what the topic we are now discussing today, wherein lakes are getting contaminated by, most of the lakes are contaminated by sewage, and for its importance, sewerage network is very, very important. Its treatment, conveyance, and disposal to the lake for the revival is very, very important. That's what I'm taking this and introductory part of BWSSB in this session. Next. So we are having a water supply system, piped water system. As on today, we are supplying water almost 100 kilometers away from the Bangalore city, and we are treating that water, pumping the water in 3 stages for about 500 meters above the ground level, and distributing it to the Bangaloreans. Having a population is around 13 million. So the water is very, very precious to us. So that the water which is going to generate sewage is also very precious to us, either for the reuse purpose or for the lake filling and lake revival. Next. So we have a very good network of sewerage network in city to an extent of 11.8 thousand kilometers, and we have number of manholes. We have 33 numbers of STPs generate almost having the capacity to treat 1,381 MLD of sewage treatments. All these STPs are distributed across the city, and we are treating as on today 1,250 MLD of sewage. So sewage generation and sewage treatment is going in hand to hand. That's what we can able to reduce the entry of the sewage into the water bodies. Next. So these are all our STP locations. A very small STP is also there to an extent of 5 MLD, 1.5 MLD also. Very big STPs are also there. That is, earlier days we used to get the land bank, 248 MLD bigger STPs, 150 MLD bigger STPs we have constructed in earlier previous decades. But now as the urbanization has grown, we are not able to get the land to that extent. That's what we switched our mode to a decentralized STPs. These decentralized STPs, most of them are situated on the upstream of the lakes, and this is the proof for that. In and around city, we are having almost 33 STPs are situated. Next. So our STPs are of the standards, and even CPCB also having some stringent norms with respect to TSS compared to NGT, but we are following the most stringent norms in order to design the STPs, even BOD at 10 and TSS at 10, and all our STPs are passing through the NGT and CPCB, both the norms, and one of the best scientific STPs we are designed, and is all performing in a very good stage. Next. So these are all some of the STPs which are in BWSSB having different processes. Two-stage high rate filter and advanced SBR system is also there. Activated sludge process with energy recovery is there also. Biogas we are developing, and electricity we are generating out of that. Membrane technology is also there. All type of STPs we are having in BWSSB with the highest standards. Next. Next slide. Next slide. Smaller STPs we are going with SBR technologies in order to EA and extended aeration. And see, Bangalore is basically having 3 drainage zones, and one is we are call it as Koramangala Chalgatta Valley, and again it is going to join Kaveri River, and other one is Hebbal Valley, Dakshina Pinakini River it is going to join, and Vrishabhavati River again it is going to be the Kaveri tributary. 3 zones are there, and its terrain is also like that. Based on the zonal wise, there are a lot of series of lakes are there in Bangalore city. Each lake is interconnected. One overflow of one upstream river lake will lead to the other lakes. Any contamination happened in this series of lakes, it will going to affect the entire series of the valley. So that's what we should be very careful in keeping the lakes free from the sewage, and treating the sewage, and letting the treated sewage into the lake, so that during the rainy season only rainwater will mix with our treated sewage, and revival of the lake should happen. In that way, we have concepted our STPs and the sewerage network. Next. So as I told, we have almost live lakes of 210 lakes in jurisdiction of BBMP. We have special authority is there, Lake Development Authority is there in Bangalore city to look after the lakes. And larger than 100 acres, we have 60 number of lakes. 5 to 100 acres of land area, we have 81 lakes are there. Small lakes of less than 5 acres, we have 131 lakes are there in Bangalore. We are going to revive all the lakes. Some portion of the revival scheme we have opened that the success story I'm going to explain to you. Next. So lake reuse, direct benefits, we are making the recycle, thereby conserve the fresh water, recycle nutrients, thereby reducing the need for farmers investing in the chemical fertilizers, provide reliable water supply to the farmers, regeneration and revival of the lake also we are taking place by STPs, increasing the groundwater table also we are making to use. Some indirect benefits also prevent the pollution of the rivers, canals and other surface water would otherwise be used for disposal of wastewater and disposal of municipal water in a low cost and a hygienic way we are doing. This is the benefit of our reuse in Bangalore city. Next. So already BWSSB is adopted so many reuse projects out of 1200 MLD of sewage being treated, out of which 850 MLD is already utilized. One is we have one Devanhalli industrial area is there, wherein we are supplying 40 MLD tertiary treated plant to that industrial area for boiler use. Similarly, tertiary treated 10 MLD water we are supplying directly to Kempegowda International Airport, Indian Air Force, Bharat Electronic Limited, Rail Wheel Factory, and ITC Factory for their non-portable use. Similarly, tertiary treated 4 MLD TTP being used for Kabban Park, Raj Bhavan, Vidhan Sauda area, and High Court area. All the toilets are being used by this water only. Tertiary treated 1.5 MLD being used for Lal Bagh for plantation purpose, and 15 MLD Jakkur being used for Karnataka Power Corporation Limited for gas-based power plant. We are using this water already for the purpose of reuse, for indirect reuse. Similarly, next slide, please. The other things also we will carry out domestic sewage, but rapid urbanization, encroachment and other constrained rainwater being let into the sewerage network of BWSSB. Because of that, WTP constructed is on the upstream of the lake. We have constructed the wastewater treatment plant, and for this wastewater treated water being letting into the lakes for the survival purpose. Next, some of the water bodies, see all these STPs, whatever we are having in BWSSB is having on the upstream of the lakes. KNC Valley 248 MLD is on Belandur Amanikane Lake. Hebbal Valley is on the Nagavara Lake upstream. Elanka Phase 1 in Alasandra Lake. Mailasandra is Mailasandra Kere on the upstream. Nagsandra Dodda Bidrikallu Lake. Like that, all our 33 STPs being adopted on the upstream of the lake only, so that treated wastewater also we are letting into the lakes for their survival. Next. So further to this, we have already started constructing of another 26 number of wastewater treatment plants of capacity 467 MLD. Various treatment plants are constructed. It will be completed by 2026 onwards. So by the end of 2026, BWSSB will have 60 numbers of decentralized treatment plants. All of them are on the lake periphery, so that interconnected to these 60, plus we have plenty number of ISPS, intermediate sewage pumping stations, avoiding the sewage entry to those lakes through intermediate sewage pumping station. Almost 150 lakes will be survived without any sewage entry in that. Next. So these are one Jakkur lakes, the view of the Jakkur lake. It is free from sewage. Only we are letting the Jakkur lake by treated our sewage water and it is filled and looks like this. It is also Alsur Lake, one of the lake in the center of the city, having a DO more than 4, and it is just because of the treated sewage in that lake. Similarly, Chikbanawara Lake, this is also free from the sewage entry, and it is freshwater lakes are there. Next. These are all some of the examples. Similarly, the Bangalore city, which is situated on the southern Deccan Plateau, it is an hillock wherein we are getting almost 900 millimeters of rainfall every year. But the surrounding area of Bangalore is at a lower plateau, and wherein we are not getting the rainwater because the surrounding districts are of very drought prone areas like Kolar or either Chikbalapur or surrounding area like Ramnagar, like that. So government of Karnataka has made use of our treated water to fill the tanks or the lakes of the surrounding districts also. In the mega scale, it has been taken over and commissioned during 2019 onwards. From there onwards, all treated sewage out of 1,200, 800 MLD of treated sewage being utilized to fill the tanks of the neighboring districts. That is the second story of BWSSB. Next. So in that regard, we have one KNC Valley project, 336 MLD of secondary treated sewage from our KNC Valley stream has been utilized to fill the 126 tanks in Kolar and Chikbalawara districts. Similarly, 40 MLD secondary treated water from Kadavesnalli to Belandur Jack well is supplied to Narsapura and Pemiginalli industrial area in order to fill the tanks. Similarly, in Hebbal Valley, 140 MLD of secondary treated from 3 STPs, Hebbal, Ennur and Oramau STPs, has been utilized to fill the 65 tanks in Chikbalapura, Bangalore rural and Bangalore urban districts. So these waters are filling even though there is a drought prone area, these tanks are filled with our treated water. Because of that, the indirect usage of the treated water being happening, lakes are getting survived, groundwater table is increasing, and the farmers are growing the crops regularly because it is assured water they are getting. This is the some pictorial views. I am going to show it to you. Next. So these are all what I told about 327.35 hectares of land being occupied, and it is storage is around 62.46 MCFT. All the lakes are filled because of the Bangalore city treated wastewater. Next. So this is the view of the lake during 2018. This is called Narsapura village lake. The lake is totally dry. Next. So now after filling the tank, the view of the lake has changed. Similarly, view of the tank is entirely changed. Similarly, Agara Lake is dry. Now it is filled with treated sewage water, and the entire area is totally flourished because of the improvement in the groundwater. Next. Next. So this is also one of the lake in Kendai tank. This is also lake wherein it is entirely filled with treated sewage water. Next. This is also the view of one more lake which is filled with sewage water. Next. This is the well before and after. Shallow wells in that area as filled with groundwater. The improvement in groundwaters are there. Next. So this is the main conclusion of this lake revival scheme taken up by BWSSB. improved livelihood of the farmers, improved afforestation, farmers, farming activities are improved. So secured in an era of climate change, assured treated water is filling into their lakes and they are getting the water resource. Distress migration will be halted now. Earlier all the villagers used to come to Bangalore city because there is a drought prone area. Now the entire village or entire town is famous for horticulture and vegetables. Then for floriculture also, wetland habitats are there, aquatic habitats are living now peacefully. A replacement of surface water is going to happen. Recreation opportunities has created. Commercial fisheries, because DO is more than two, commercial fisheries also taking place in dry period also. This is all the positive impact of this lake revival scheme taken up by BWSSB with the government government of Karnataka's vision, and lakes around in and around Bangalore city and lakes outside the Bangalore city is also getting revived, and it will be a benchmark for all other metropolitan cities to adopt the same thing in future. Next. Thank you.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
We are audible.
So thank you, Mr. Rajiv, for that excellent lecture. And it's very good to know that lakes are being rejuvenated in a Deccan Plateau area of Karnataka. So there are concerns about some monitoring. So are you also doing some sort of monitoring for these lakes?
Yes, madam. The treated water being monitored at CPC, our Karnataka Pollution Control Board is there. All the parameters set up by NGT has been monitored on hourly basis, on online hourly basis by Karnataka Pollution Control Board. It is online. Okay. So second thing is, and in the same way, we are supplying the water to minor irrigation. They are pumping the water to the lakes in the peripheral areas also. They are also third-party inspections, third-party sample collection is also there on frequent basis. All the samples taken will be published in the website of minor irrigation also. And similarly, STP results are published in BWSSB websites also. So monitoring is taken care and we are propagating this for indirect potable use. It is not for the direct potable use. Groundwater recharge for irrigation purpose and for other purposes.
So we have a question from Dr. Amritlal Haldar, who says that it's learned that 33 STP is at now present. 8 has to come up in next 2 years. But with the increase in population, do you feel that these STPs are sufficient for the managing the pollution of water? This is on the STP part.
Yeah, very good question, because it is as the population grows, there is always a challenge on the infrastructures. As I already told, 33 STPs are for today. We have already started constructing another 24 STPs with the capacity of 460 MLD capacity, and it will be commissioned in phased manner by 2025 and 26. Further, we are going to take up World Bank funded project. It is going to launch very shortly. Another 10 STPs of 200 MLD capacity is also going to come up. So as the water supply is going to come up, water supply is going to increase. 80% of that we will treat as a sewage generation, and for that BWSSB is having a plan to adopt not only STPs, sewerage network also, to collect the sewage, convey it, and to treat that. And by end of 2030, we will have almost 2,500 MLD capacity STPs. We are having plan of that.
He's asking, the same person, Dr. Haldar is asking, like, we actually heard about the Bangalore floods so many times in past few years. So he's trying to understand whether there has been any improvement in the flood condition and any prevention of floods because you have improved plans for rejuvenation of the lakes.
Yeah.
Can
Definitely. Yeah. See, Bangalore lakes are prone to flooding because of it is interconnected series of lakes. One lake is outfall is connected to other lakes, and other lakes are connected to next lake. So series of lakes are there. BBMP is because of the floods are happening because the stormwater drains are not having sufficient width and not taken up in the outskirts of the city area, means that is newly added area. Now BBMP has taken up the project of constructing the stormwater drains of particular width based on the hydraulics, and because of that there will not be any inundation portion or obstruction to the stormwater drains, and flooding will not happen in future. And government of Karnataka has already worked out based on the learnings from the 2021 flooding, 22 flooding, and last year also no flooding has happened, and this year also they are taken care of the cleaning of the stormwater drains, widening of the stormwater drains, and all lake facilities, so that in future no such incident will not going to happen because of the rain which is not expected, and recurrence of that has happened 100-year once.
Okay, so we are at the process of conclusion of this webinar, where we have come up with a very few specific but very sharp pointers, which shows that only preserving the water bodies should not be the aim. And in this climate risk world, where the intensity of rainfall will increase, we have to rejuvenate the water bodies. Not only do that, but also talk about the catchments and the feeder channels. And we have come up in the three excellent lectures that we had today, this series, which showed very clearly that every city has a unique system of water bodies which needs to be preserved. But we have no dearth of the acts and laws in the country, but they need an extra teeth, because urban water bodies are unique, and they talk about your tradition in the cities. And another thing that has come up is the capacity of the stakeholders actually need, and more research has to be done to actually prevent pollution or to conserve these lakes. And maintenance and monitoring should be part of these management plans. That's very important, because the concern about the monitoring has come up again and again in both the ponds of Kolkata as well as the Karnataka water bodies. And Karnataka has seen the improvement of the floods, but they also think that the stormwater drainage also needs to be taken care of. So it's a combination of the stormwater drains as well as the water bodies, the preservation and protection of both of them, which can actually save the cities from the floods. And success stories that Karnataka, the state of Karnataka is doing is quite appreciable, and that can be followed in other areas, other cities, which may have similar hydrogeological conditions. But still we need to do more research on how things are getting impacted, and what is the quality of monitoring. These still needs to be researched, and more work has to be done. That's the need of the hour. But yes, we need to protect our water bodies, have a very solid concrete adequate management plan and monitoring is also a key concern for this. And with this, we thank all the participants who have joined us and raised some very excellent questions. And we end our webinar over here. But do connect with us. We had several questions. I could see more than 50 questions, but we could not answer all of them. But do connect with us, send your questions in, and we can write to the experts and we can get back the answers for them. Thank you very much. And this is from the water program of CAC, thanking all the participants for joining in for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Nice presentations.
Huh?
Nice presentation.
Sorry.